Well, new clues. Vice President Joe Biden may be closer to entering the presidential race. A source telling Fox News some of his representatives held a meeting this week with Democratic National Committee staffers. They briefed Biden's aides on arcane but crucial rules that he'd need to understand if he decides to run. But the source was quick to add Democratic Party officials don't know which way that Biden is leaning. Now, this is coming just days before the vice president is reportedly planning to have a, quote, family conversation this weekend to discuss getting in the race.
Please.
So does he or doesn't he? Melissa Francis, our sources are saying yes, but he is taking quite some time.
Well, and why wouldn't he? I mean, everyone's begging him. They're falling down on his feet. The longer he holds out, the better, right, ladies? You know what I'm talking about.
Paul
I mean,
Ryan?
make them beg you and beg you and beg you. Why would he get in?
Why are you calling out the ladies?
Because you know what I'm talking about.
I do?
Why give in? Nothing is better for him than right before he gets in. When he finally says that he's actually out there and running, that's when the attacks start.
I love when
I think he's
Melissa
playing it
gets saucy.
perfectly.
Yeah, okay, so play hard to get.
When am I not saucy?
Is he playing
Yes,
hard to
thank
get,
you.
Julie? Yeah, I picked up what you were putting down, girlfriend. I got that in 2 seconds.
I love it.
Is he playing hard to get, Julie, or has he decided and we don't know the answer? I mean, what is it?
Explain more to me, Melissa. I'm not sure what you're talking about. At first, I thought he was maybe not sure what to do because of his personal situation, which is obviously devastating and horrible. And then I realized, Melissa, you may be right. He may be playing a little hard to get. You're never as popular as the day before you announce. And he's really popular today. And I think all of a sudden, and you're seeing it already. You're seeing in the last few days a very coordinated media strategy to take down Joe Biden. I wonder where that could be coming from. But I'm not sure. But
is there a calculating, self-interested Democrat in the race who's obsessed with power who would do something like that to
who
Joe
operates
Biden?
behind a giant propaganda machine?
Did you just describe every single politician from dog catcher to president of the United States? I'm sorry.
Some people are on another level.
Is there a politician who's not like that? I don't know who you're talking about. But yes, look, I think Joe Biden is going to get in, and I think it's good for the Democratic Party. Ultimately, if Hillary's the nominee, I think it's good for her. I think you need to play a little JV before you hit varsity in the World Series, and that's what the general election is.
So, Guy, as Julie hinted at, the Clinton attack machine is on full boogie, full tilt. We saw earlier this week stories that perhaps ended up there by coincidence, or perhaps the Clintons planted them. But do you think that Joe Biden's behind the scenes sort of wheeling and dealing? I mean, that's kind of how it works. Like, if the unions are begging him to get in this race, then he can say, all right, I'll get in if I get your support locked up. He may be doing a lot of that, which would be smart.
Well, the DNC meeting today, don't forget that little huddle he had with Elizabeth Warren at the vice presidential mansion weeks ago. It's been drip after drip with him, and I think this is moving inexorably towards him pulling the trigger and running. And why wouldn't he? That's the thing. Looking at some of the polling data over the last 2 weeks, state polling data in swing states, New Hampshire, Iowa, I believe it was then Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, 2 separate polls. Her numbers, Hillary's numbers, on trustworthiness, on overall approval, on empathy, are terrible. She is in really bad shape on all of those metrics. He outperforms her massively on all of them. So I think there are a lot of Democrats casting about for someone other than Hillary Clinton. Look at Bernie Sanders' success. Joe Biden's thinking, I'm the sitting vice president, for crying out loud. Right. Look at her numbers, look at mine. Why not?
And Harris, if he gets in, then the focus shifts to him, as Julie pointed out, in a more negative way. Now, him sitting back, it's all favorable, and it allows for all these stories about Hillary Clinton every single day, which have not been that great.
Well, you know, look at what's happening in California, though, for Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton. I mean, the flip-flop on the numbers there, or I should say the tightening of the numbers and how much Bernie Sanders has grown. When you look at the same polling that you're mentioning, yes, Joe Biden gets a chunk of the pie, but Bernie Sanders actually stays strong. So what are you going to do with all of those people who are in love with his socialist policies? They're not going to flock to Joe Biden. Is he going to lean left with Hillary? My gosh, the boat's going to
lean left. He's practically falling over. He's in the Obama administration.
All 3 people kind of falling off the boat. So I'm wondering.
He's already face planted.
It does hurt her. It doesn't seem to hurt Bernie Sanders as much. This may not be as easy for Joe Biden as he thinks. So if he does get in, he better be shaking some hands and getting some promises right now, because Monday is going to come really fast after the family conversation this weekend. It's going to come right before October 13th. The first Democratic debate. And who knows? Oh, he said he wouldn't get in. I don't know. If he declares his presidency, you think he's going to sit that one out? Yeah. We'll have to see.
He should come busting in through the wall.
Well,
I'm here.
And like rip his shirt off.
No, if he announces it's going to be after the debate, first of all, he hasn't done any debate prep. You don't just waltz into a presidential debate. Secondly, why not see how the debate goes,
See how it goes.
See what happens, see what comes out of it. She may
let Bernie clobber her if you're Joe, and sit and pop some popcorn and watch.
All right. Speaking of the Democratic debate, it is just 4 days away, and these are the candidates who have been invited. They're likely all preparing, including Hillary Clinton, as we were talking about. Her strategy reportedly expected to be two-pronged, embracing some of Bernie Sanders' ideals but dismissing his solutions, while trying once again to introduce herself to the American public. You mean we don't know who she is? Among her reported plans for next Tuesday night, she's going to target Sanders' record on gun control, hold her ground on any attacks questioning her fight for progressive values, and question how Sanders intends to pay for the trillions of dollars in new initiatives that he's promising. Guy, you're nodding your head.
Yeah, well, so I have to tell you, coming up later this afternoon at townhall.com, I have a story coming out. On my ride up here this morning on the train, someone very close to Clinton world, let's put it that way, was having a very loud conversation in my train car. About the debate, and he had some very choice comments about the vice president, some very choice comments about Bernie Sanders, and he was talking about the debate, and it's very clear that they want to go after Bernie on gun control because it's a very popular issue with the liberal base, and it's one where Hillary is credibly to Bernie Sanders' left. He's been actually pretty pro-gun throughout his career in Vermont, a very blue state that is also in favor of Second Amendment rights pretty heavily. And that's, I think, an element of vulnerability that they see for him that she's going to pounce on. And the other one that they were talking about, too, was he's going to come after her saying, what about this, what about that, your policies or whatnot. She wants to come back at him saying, what have you ever done? What have you ever accomplished aside from rhetoric? She's going to try
And then he can say, what have you ever done?
Right.
Oh.
So anyway, that's...
She'll send him hard choices so he can read all about it, the way she did with the Republicans when they question what she's ever done. Look, I will say this. She's got, and don't underestimate her capability in the debate. First of all, she's a pretty good debater. We saw that in 2008. Secondly, she's got a woman named Karen Dunn. I don't know if people know this, who's prepping her. Karen Dunn, I have worked on a couple of debate prep sessions with Karen Dunn, is the gold standard. She is phenomenal. And when Karen Dunn is through prepping Hillary Clinton, you're going to see a very different and good side of Hillary Clinton.
But hard choices. What are the hard choices between Earl Grey and chamomile?
Well, you got to read the book.
No, really. When you ask most Democrats what are her biggest accomplishments, they can't answer the question.
She can.
I can.
She can't even answer it. I don't know how well this debate prep person is, but unless she's going to perform a full frontal lobotomy on her brain and her record, I don't know what she's going to say in this debate, Harris, because Bernie Sanders does not go by a script. He's very Trump-like. He doesn't have to sit there and think about what he feels and what he knows. He just says it. She has to be scripted. She has to think about everything. And frankly, she has been on both sides of every single issue with a very flimsy resume.
See, I think she has to achieve something in this debate that she can't really do, which is to be warm and to connect. Because we know she can be fierce, right? I mean, it's her main problem is that people feel like she's not honest and that she's not caring or warm or human. So I don't know. Those aren't things that you can easily achieve in a debate unless you have a great moment. But they're going to coach her into that moment, and she's proven she can't be coached.
Well, I'll tell you something. She can be because, and everybody can be. Look, debate prep is like anything else. It's an art. And where she excels is when she's vulnerable. When she shows this vulnerability, when she's not rigid, that's when she's at her best. When Obama
cry on Tuesday night?
She might. When Obama says to her, when Obama said to her in 2008, "You're likable enough," and she said, "Well, that hurts my feelings."
Right.
That comes across well in 2000. If you remember,
no, it doesn't. No one thinks she has feelings.
Listen, well, Andrew, you don't think she has feelings, but a lot of other people do. In 2000, but listen,
Bernie Sanders being the type of person who could set that up for Hillary Clinton? I'm just
he might be, because in 2000, listen, Tim Russert asked her whether the American people could trust her after she went out and said her husband never had an extramarital affair, and she did something that absolutely helped win her the New York Senate race, where she teared up and she said, she teared up and she said, "I didn't know the truth either. That's a very painful moment in my history." And she showed vulnerability, and people said, "Oh,
so do you think they're coaching her to cry?"
I think they're coaching her to show humanity, and I think you do that. But wait a second, that's not related to just Hillary. Every time I've done debate prep, it's not even so much about what you say; it's about how you say it.
Well, sure,
it absolutely is for every candidate.
And that's the problem, Julie. When she delivers remarks, they sound scripted and shrill, and no one buys that she is this weak, sort of vulnerable, teary-eyed victim. I mean, they don't buy it anymore. They think that she is calculating. cheating. They think that she is cold. They think that she knew about her husband's infidelity, and they think that she only cares about the rights of one woman, not all women, and that's herself.
Well, that's the challenge we learned on the couch today after Guy spoke. When you're riding a train to D.C. and you happen to work as an operative for one of the candidates,
stop blabbing
know
loudly.
Your neighbor.
Sit in the quiet car.
When you're in the quiet car, be quiet.
Get some Beats headphones like Harris.
Two journalists sitting right there.
Amazing.